banana. Would you believe an angry and losing your temper a little bit can be part of it?
It's the same thing that's happening when, for example, you try a new healthy diet. So say you go from eating really junky processed foods to, cutting out those, maybe cutting out alcohol or caffeine. Your body's like, hey, I'm feeling clean. I'm feeling great. Let me start working on some of this backlog.
This is this is an interesting video because I think it comes up quite a bit actually. I think it's not addressed correctly. And I think a lot of people are scared to address this. And I actually know why they're scared to address it, but that kind of like comes into a bit more about the shady practices of like the liquid or the very marketing gimmicky binders that are out there. It's a common topic, but I think we need to approach it because it's a part of detoxification. It's a part of the detox process, and it doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does happen, it sucks, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so what we want to talk about today is the so-called detox flu. I think it's often referred to. And yeah, it's something that doesn't happen to everyone, but it does happen to some people. And when it does happen to you, I think it can be a little bit unnerving just because it's not something that's spoken about a lot. So yeah, we just wanted to make a short video to run through it, what it is, what's happening, and what you can do to mitigate it. Because usually I think the more pronounced detox flu symptoms you get, usually that's a sign that you're quite toxic and you really need that detox, because the more that needs to be processed out of your system, the more inflated symptoms you might have. Either that, or if you're detoxing too fast, I think sometimes you can get that detox flu.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
It's interesting because I also refer it to as histamine dumping.
Yeah.
Because especially a lot of people that are doing like, the histamine detox protocols, when your body starts to... So what happens is...
So what is the detox?
Because so basically, when you start taking certain binders, or binders, should we say, like, I don't agree with all the binders, but what I can talk to you a bit more factually about Toxaprevent. It happens.
Which is a zeolite.
Which is the zeolite cloptololite. So zeolite cloptololite, when you're taking it on a daily basis, what you're doing is you're dropping that burden of toxins. And Toxaprevent's the only zeolite on the market that's actually proven to stay in the digestive tract. And once it binds to the toxins, it leaves the body via the stool. So what's happening? Every day, those toxins are being removed. And those toxins are we're exposed to every day. They're part of the food process. It's in the air that we breathe. It's it's in the water that we drink sometimes, and the fluids that we have. So our body's constantly exposed to those toxins. And in the intestines, you have these blood vessels that crowd around it. That's called the portal vein. And what the portal vein does is it ports the blood from the intestines that has all the nutrients and the toxins in there into the liver and the kidneys to be processed, what's actually into the kidneys. And the kidneys then process everything out, and it pulls out the toxins and it pulls out the minerals, and then it pushes the minerals through the bloodstream, which then flows around the system, and then that like replenishes the body with the minerals. But those toxins that are in there, if they can't be detoxed out, they can either be stored into the fat cells, into the tissues, and that's where we get this like toxic burden of toxicity in there. Or when the gallbladder and pancreas release the enzymes part of digestion, the kidneys will push those toxins into there, and that bile that enters the intestines will then get soaked up into the stool and then pass out. But because of how sensitive our colon is, those toxins can be reabsorbed in the stool, especially like when you're constipated and you have stool sitting in the intestines for long periods of times. So that circulation just happens, and that's known as enterohepatic circulation. But when you take Toxaprevent, and I'll say Toxaprevent because this is the one that I know and I can tell you in much more factual information. When Toxaprevent goes in, it binds to those toxins in the digestive tract, like the capsules and the sachets. They'll go in, they'll bind to those toxins. And because they've been bound, they cannot be unbound. So once it's bound to there, it's there. And then that Toxaprevent attaches to the stool, it mixes with the stool, and then when you pass that stool, Toxaprevent with the toxins, with that stool, leaves the body. So what's happening is when that portal vein pulls the blood through into the kidneys go, hey up, where's the toxins? And I'm going to make a joke about it, but that's how I imagine the kidneys like these really chuckly, jolly people going, hey, what's going on here? And what happens is when the toxins have been removed, the minerals are in there, but the toxins aren't. And the kidneys go, I can have room to breathe now. And then what will happen is as that toxin burden's been reduced, the liver and kidneys start to go, oh, I've got this newfound capacity to start detoxing. And then would you believe it? Those stored toxins start to be released. And that is what we call histamine dumping or the detox flu, because your body goes, oh my God, there's something going on here. I'm ready to replenish and remove those toxins. And then it starts dumping. And my God, it is an awful feeling. And by the way, I have been through it. This is not me just talking nonsense. I've been through it myself. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been doing this for over a decade, shall we say. And over a decade I've been doing this. I've seen it happen before to people. And when it happens, don't stress. Don't fret. I got you, boo. I got you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I promise.
Try to have a few more naps during the day.
Yes. What you need to do in these circumstances, and Tracy will back me up on this from the nutrition side of it, like a flu, you rest, you relax, you hydrate.
You nourish.
And how do you hydrate tea?
Electrolytes. Don't be coming at me with plain water. You need salts to absorb that water.
Indeed. And the right electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll tag some...
Plenty of potassium. Have a look at your labels. A lot of electrolytes have really, really high sodium levels because traditionally they're made for athletes who have higher sodium requirements. But for the case of hydrating your body, you really want a good balance of potassium, magnesium and sodium. It's not just high sodium, so read your label. I'll actually link one of my favorite ones below. And
could we just say electrolytes aren't for athletes, they're for everyone. So stop this stupid narrative. Just because Lucozade did a massive advertising thing about it, it's not for athletes, it's for everyone. Everyone needs electrolytes.
Particularly nursing moms.
Yes.
Yes. Very, very important for nursing moms.
And particular people, in this case, who are healing. Because when you are healing, when you've got this detox flu or the histamine dumping, your body is actually healing. It's trying to refix the body and undo all this toxicity.
It's actually a positive if you
think. It is.
It doesn't feel like a positive, but it's actually a good sign that your body is kicking in and being like, okay, let's start moving out some of these more deeply embedded embedded toxins. It's time to move those out. So it's actually a good sign.
And like I said, and when you do that electrolytes, when you do the resting, when you do the sleeping, about 3 or 4 days, it will suck. And it will suck. It's like, no one wants to be ill. I don't know anyone that says, oh, I enjoyed being ill. There's no one in the world that does that. But what will happen as you continue taking it daily, because that burden's being put back into the digestive tract, if you look at the protocols, they're designed to deal with that burden because you're taking it daily. You continue taking the toxin daily, and you continue taking the electrolytes daily. You continue replenishing the system and detoxing. After 3 or 4 days, you'll notice your symptoms starts to like reduce and relax. And then by the 7th day, and I always say it's normally, I've never seen anyone go past the 7th day. And if they do, it's fine. It's just part of the parcel of it.
It means that there's a very large toxic burden.
And what will happen? You just click and you break out of it. And oh my God, if you read some of the stories that people say, when they feel that they break out of it, it will fill your heart with a lot of warmth, because people are just like, actually, I can feel myself better now. And it's like, it's the same with colds and flus. Like, when you have your blocked nose, you're always just like, oh my God, I can't remember a time when I could, had a blocked nose. And you love those times when you get your breathing for your nasal passages back. It's the same thing.
Yeah. It makes me think of Diana Ross's song. I'm coming out.
There you go. We should coin that for this video, right?
I was thinking, just on the detox flu, though, you haven't mentioned some of the symptoms that people usually experience.
I don't want to mention symptoms, T.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you why. Because with this detox flu, symptoms can vary between the person.
Oh, massively.
And that's the problem, because if we start talking about symptoms, I feel like we could sit for the next half an hour going, it could be this symptom. And I guarantee you, after this video, people who are watching this, they will leave comments about their flu, their symptoms. Because
Okay,
someone will
that's
say,
good.
oh, I felt depressed. Someone will say, I felt sad. Someone will say, oh, I got really angry.
Yeah.
Because would you believe angry and losing your temper a little bit can be part of it?
Yeah. And then tiredness, headaches, that kind of thing, just feeling run down is a big one. And also, I wanted to mention, because you've spoken about this specifically as it relates to taking binders, because obviously that's the question we get asked a lot. But it's the same thing that's happening when, for example, you try a new healthy diet. So say you go from eating really junky processed foods to, cutting out those, maybe cutting out alcohol or caffeine and eating whole foods, or when people used to go on juice detoxes and things, which I'm not advocating, I'm just saying, that extreme set of symptoms that you get, which unfortunately often puts people off because they're like, why am I doing this? I feel like absolute poop. But really, again, what's happening is you're giving your body the opportunity to be clean enough so that it feels capable of processing out some of those more deeply embedded toxins. Because the way your system works is that when you're very toxic, your body is putting its whole focus in keeping those toxins out of your bloodstream. So you're not getting those symptoms. They're being tucked away in your fat cells mostly, so that your body isn't being flooded with toxins. But then once you're starting to clean your system, once your digestive system is improving, as you mentioned so rightly, your body's like, hey, I'm feeling clean. I'm feeling great. Let me start working on some of this backlog. Kind of like when you have that day at work where you're like, you know what? I'm super on top of everything. I'm feeling amazing. Let me go to my to-do list. It's the exact same thing.
Do you know what, as you were talking, it struck me as well. One of the funniest things is that the amount of people that don't do something as basic as drink water. Like, my Lord, when so I was talking to a really, really incredible lady who runs one of the Histamine groups, and she was telling me that, like, I told her to increase the water because she was going through it, and she said, I can't do it. She's like, I'm just running to the toilet constantly, and that is a sign. And I'm gonna let T explain it because she'll explain it so much more intelligently than I will. But that was quite funny because a lot of people will not drink water because of the constant running to the wee, like running to go for the wheeze. Running to the wheeze, running to the loo, sorry.
You've been hanging around our toddler too much.
Yeah, running to the wheeze. But yeah, or as she likes to say, is that pee-pee?
Wee-wee?
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest fears that people have, and they won't drink enough water, but it's so important part of that, like, healing process. And why?
Well, I think a lot of people, if you're drinking loads of water, not feeling better and running to the loo a lot, you need more salts. Your body's not absorbing that water, because you kind of think if you're drinking water, then it must be going into your body, but it is going into your body. But if it's not being pulled into your cells, it's just going to go through your body. So if you're weeing a lot, as you like to say, try adding electrolytes or salts. Also, one of the other issues I see is a lot of people saying they hate the taste of water, which I would argue a little bit is habit. I think we're probably maybe giving our young people like flavored drinks a little bit too early and getting used to needing a flavor. A lot of electrolyte powders do have flavor added, so that can be a good way to get it. I would say try and practice just drinking water and get used to it, because you don't want to get into a place of like drinking loads of juices and stuff, because there's issues with that. But there are some, healthier kind of flavor alternatives. But yeah, get that hydration in.
Yeah, I'm actually drinking electrolytes now. I'll just put a pour. I was, talking of it, made me want to talk about subconscious programming there, right? But so yeah,
that's Detox Flu.
That's a Detox Flu. Yeah. And yeah, if you have any questions about the Detox Flu, if you need a cheerleader, I am available for most days and parties. I'm not, I'm joking. But yeah, so that's Detox Flu, and I hope it does give people a bit more strength when you're going through it.
Yeah, and a little bit more support as well to know that it is a positive thing. But do drop your symptoms down below if you've ever experienced detox flu, and then maybe we can together kind of come up with a really broad scope of all the different symptoms that people experience, because it can be quite varied.
Or what they did to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.